So, who wants to hear me talk a little recruiting and offensive line? If you do, stay tuned.
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Culkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC your first listen every day. Whether you're watching on YouTube or wherever you like to download your podcast, we are free, and I appreciate your support. And if you are watching on YouTube and you haven't done it yet and you want to become a free subscriber, it's easy. Hit that subscribe button. You like the episode? Hit that thumbs up. And because Locked On USC comes at you 5 times a week, nobody else does that for you. Hit that bell notification so you never miss an episode. So I was asked this question on the We Are SC weekly podcast show that I do. And it wasn't just me. The panel was asked, is the 2024 recruiting class off to a slow start? And I guess if you're looking at it numbers-wise, they only have one commit, so the answer is yes, kind of, maybe, no. The answer is any of the above. Right now, they have one verbal commitment. His name is Joey Olson, tight end. Also, keep in mind that in 2023, USC is bringing in Deuce Walker, who is listed as a tight end, as well as Walker Lyons, who is a tight end, although he won't be available until 2024 while he completes his mission. And then you also have Cade Eldridge, who is part of the 2023 class. He'll be joining the team later this late spring, early summer, whenever he's done with high school. So the 2023 roster is going, and 2024 roster is going to be young at that tight end position. Just as a note, side note, while we're talking about this. But this Friday, it looks like the 2024 class will be adding another commitment, verbal commitment. So Joey Olson, he won't be feeling lonely. At least that's what everyone's crystal balls are predicting. Earlier in the week, WeAreSC.com's recruiting guru, Scott Schrader, he threw up his Tiger Woods GIF. And basically, you know how USC has their victory salute, bat signal whenever they received a commitment or are about to. Scott has a Tiger Woods GIF that he uses as his bat signal, and it's a game-winning shot from Tiger Woods. And if you're old enough, you might remember Fonzie doing the power from the Happy Days episode. Anyways, I'm old enough to remember that. Who is the commitment that I'm referring to? According to On3, defensive back Aaron Flowers is going to be making his announcement this Friday, April 7th. He is the number 70 overall recruit in the On3 top 300. So he's out of Forney, Texas. He plays safety. His top 3, he's going to be choosing between the 2 OUs, Oregon and Oklahoma, and USC. Quote, this is from Aaron Flowers. Oklahoma, USC, and Oregon, those are the 3 schools really hard on me, recruiting me hard. Flowers told On3, the decision has been set, and I know where it's at. I know what school I'm going to announce Friday for sure. As far as USC is concerned, quote, they're really high on me. My head coach knows Coach Riley well. Coach Riley texts me and calls me all the time, and it's the same with Coach Grinch and Coach Dante. They're high on me and see me and want me to play on their defense, and I think I can make an impact early on there. End quote. So I don't think I'm letting the cat out of the bag. Other people are predicting there's a really, really good chance that by the end of workday Friday, Aaron Flowers will be part of the Trojans 2024 recruiting class. So should USC recruiting fans and the staff, though, should they be concerned that the 2024 class is off to a slow start number-wise? My opinion, absolutely not. There's nothing to be concerned about. Remember, it's the first week of April, and the May transfer portal window hasn't even opened yet. And I'm not saying that whomever from USC is, whoever, there's going to be players from USC who are going to jump into the portal, and USC is going to pull players from the portal. And I'm not saying that's going to have a significant impact on the 2024 class. However, some recruits are going to look at the roster's perceived depth chart. And if older and more experienced players are going to be ahead of them, that can have an effect on their decision. But again, it's April. So, this coming weekend, I'm talking about April 7th through the 9th. And then the following weekend, when USC has their spring football game, there's recruits are going to be overflowing on campus at USC practice at the spring game. So a recruiting class really starts to gain momentum when the quarterback in that class makes his verbal announcement. And then that train really starts to chug along, starts picking up some steam. So while Riley waits for Dylan Raiola, assuming that's going to be the quarterback in the 2024 class, to decide where his best interest lies. One way for USC's class to start gaining some momentum is for the local recruits to start committing to USC. And if those spark plugs just happen to be defensive players, would be even better than if it was Dylan Raiola saying, "All right, USC, I'm back." Remember, he was committed to Ohio State at one time. He was considering USC before he committed to Ohio State. So, in my opinion, getting some local kids to commit sooner would be even better. So, if there is a concern, it's with making sure that the local players stay home. And I'm talking about players like Kingston I know I'm going to butcher his name, Viliamu Asa, and Jordan Lockhart, the linebackers from St. John Bosco. Make sure the modern day offensive line guys, Brandon Baker and DeAndre Carter, that they stay home. Or if you want to be concerned about 2024 and even into the future, let's get that Long Beach Poly pipeline flowing full steam at full capacity, rather than the kind of intermittent, drops or trickles that are finding their way to USC, or at least talking about USC. I mean, how does Dylan Williams go from Trojan commitment, he decommitted, and now he's recently released his top 7. I've said it before. Dream schools, they're done. They're gone. And here's the thing, though, is I don't know if USC has a repair job to do at Long Beach Poly. But again, there is a new culture that's being put in place at USC. So whether that new culture vibes with some of the players from Long Beach Poly, I don't know. But remember, it's not just because they're great players. They have to be able to. They have to also be able to fit USC's locker room. They have to fit that culture. So once we get to July and, the high school kids start to, get into their own fall camps, because, that's when the classes will really start to formulate, to come together. High school football seasons, they start in August. So that's why they start a little bit earlier with their fall camps. And a lot of those, not a lot, but some, they're going to want to, get their recruitment wrapped up and so they can focus on their football season ahead of them. Others, they're going to milk the process for what it's worth. And why not? Uh, today you got name, image, likeness. Those packages are floating around out there. So they're going to want to see what's out there, what's for real, what's fake, what's not real. They got to be sure. So USC's future O-line, it's out there somewhere in the recruiting world, but it's also coming up in the next segment. But before we get to USC's 2023 offensive line and beyond, why don't you head on over to FanDuel? The NBA playoffs, they're almost here, and now is the perfect time for you to download FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because you're a new customer, and you're going to get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. So seriously, just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, it's secure, and it's super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything from the money line to the point scores, who's making the most three-pointers. Again, if you like prop bets, FanDuel's a place to go. You can do it all over there. And they've also have what they call their exclusive bets, like their 2x3. 2 3-pointers scored in the first 3 minutes. That's a prop bet. Kind of cool. Plus, FanDuel, they even allow you to combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same game parlay. So don't miss the chance to get your no sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/locked-on. That's FanDuel.com/locked-on to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. So, what is the offensive line room going to look like when fall camp starts? Pardon me. With so many new faces, and there's still more to come. I'm not just saying this. Lincoln Riley's saying this as well. I'm not talking about just Ethan White, he's a big mauler type. He's coming over from Florida. But there are also some high school recruits that are going to be arriving in the summer, and they're going to be available for fall camp. However, now, how much impact? I don't know. I doubt any of those guys are going to be asked to truly contribute in 2023. I think most of their impact is going to be felt during practice. Their depth is going to help, iron sharpens iron, that type of thing. Or maybe not. We know Elijah Page, he's already out there in the spring. He's going to have a head start over his classmates, who will be here again later. You kind of get a sense with Elijah how a team feels, how the staff feels about a player, based on how he's going to project him. You kind of hear and you see things that are going on when practice is over that are off the record. You kind of get a sense that, Elijah, I'm not saying they're going to fast track him, but you might see him by end of the season playing. How much? I don't know. I'm saying he might be a part of the rotation. But if USC is looking for, to the future, which one or two guys jump out? And I'm talking about the 2023 high school recruits. So you've got Micah Banuelos, Amos Talalele, Olani Noah, or Tobias Raymond. Now, Amos and Olani, those guys are both listed at 320 plus. Both are, they would fall into that massive road grader type of O-line recruit, like in Ethan White. Same, 6'5", 330. Big guys. You don't want to be a defensive back with those guys getting to the second level. Just saying. Tobias Raymond, He's more of the long, lean. He's an offensive tackle body. I do not see him moving inside during his career. I could be wrong. I don't see him as an interior player. Now, Micah Banuelos is considered the center of the future for USC. That's where he's being forecasted to play. And he's also the smallest, weight-wise of those guys, 290 pounds, of the interior guys. So do you jumpstart his career and make him the number 3 center this season? Most assume that if, and again, this is what's being talked about behind the scenes, that heaven forbid, God forbid, Justin Dedich go down with an injury at center, knocking on wood that does not happen. And I know you should never knock your wood on. Well. Anyways, the other center they're talking about is having Jonah Monheim slide over, because that's where he plans to play. That's where they project him in the NFL. So he'll play at USC at center for a year. It's a progression. And then the other center is Andrew Malek. So again, I've heard from sources that so far this spring, Andrew has been getting most, if not all of his work at the guard position, and he's doing really, really well. He's still getting some looks at center, but Hansen wants to take a really deep, hard look at him at both guard positions this spring. And just remember, in high school, Brophy High School in Arizona, Andrew's not a small dude. He's 6'5", over 300 pounds. He has that size that the staff likes. And he played, I believe he played left tackle in high school, as well as guard. So he's got some versatility that the staff could like. Now, with that said, this is just, I've got a hunch. I'm going to go on record that 80% of USC's 2020 recruiting class is going to be gone by the end of the 2023 season. One way, shape, or another. At some point. And that 2020 class wasn't big at all in numbers. 12 in total. And it was O-line heavy. So as far as the impact ratio of that class, that's still to be determined. Is it still to be determined? Or does Riley and Henson, do they know what they have? So let's take a real, quick peek back at that 2020 class. Overall, you had Gary Bryant Jr. He's in the transfer portal. We know he's gone. Jonah Monheim, impact. Tuli Tuiapelotu, impact. He's gone, though, NFL. Josh Jackson, defensive back. Jamar Sakona, defensive tackle. Kobe Pepe, jumped in the portal. He's still at USC. Cortland Ford, he's made an impact. Andrew Malek, is this his year to show the staff, hey, I can be part of the future? Caden Stephen, gone. Casey Collier, gone. Andrews DeWork, well, okay. He's out there. Is this his year to show the staff, I'm going to be a part of the future? Parker Lewis, gone. That was the 2020 class. So, again, you have, Kobe Pepe into the portal. He's still at USC. You pick the name out of there. Who's going to still be around? Remember, you brought in Kingston Jarrett, Michael Tarquin, and Ethan White just into the offensive line room in the transfer portal this year. So will all the O-line guys from the 2020 class, are they going to be here in the fall? By the end of fall? By the end of 2023? Again, I'm not picking out specific names. I'm throwing this out there for you guys to think about and say, hey, what is the staff trying to do? What is their goal? Has the offensive line room's recruiting cycle been set up to bring in young guys who are big and ready. Think Mason Murphy. You've got Elijah Page this year. And then are they going to supplement those type of guys with 1 or 2 year guys through the transfer portal? You look at the size of the guys they're bringing in that are arriving later this summer. Alani Noah, Micah Benuelos, Amos Talalele. Size-wise, they're ready. Are they ready to play at the USC Division I level? Probably not right off the bat. We'll see how they crash the party when they hit PRPs in the summer and as well as fall camp practice. We'll see how it goes. I as far as I'm concerned, I think the offensive line and the linebackers are going to have the most intrigue around them during the spring game. I think that's where most of the eyeballs are going to be focused on. Obviously, anytime Caleb Williams touches the ball, all eyes will be there. But who's blocking for Caleb Williams? And if, by all reports, through spring camp so far, if the defensive line is, winning half the battles against the offensive line, you understand why the offensive line might have some work to do. Last year it was a veteran group. This year it could be a veteran group if those transfer portal guys are going to be plug in and play. We'll see what happens. Lots to go. Still not 2 full weeks of spring camp to go, but there's still time to go. All right. Speaking of, we're here in the third segment, spring camp. Is this going to be the week that USC is going 4 times? There was a Ready to Attack the Week hype video that came out on that had Monday's date, and it showed the team in full pads. They were on Howard Jones practice field. So I guess we'll find out. I know they were practicing on Tuesday. You're watching this episode of Locked On USC on Wednesday. You're making your first listen. And like I said, USC had practice on Tuesday. I wasn't out there. However, I had my We Are SC team members out there, Eric McKinney, Scott Schrader, Thomas Johnston. Those guys were pulling the weight, helping me out. Adam Bradford, not going to forget anybody. Now, there was nothing of real note going on at practice today that we're going to spend a whole lot of time on. I will let you know that Damani Jackson left practice on a cart, but there's nothing to be concerned about, according to Lincoln Riley. He's been dealing with some congestion. He was coughing, so that's why he had his pads off. That's why he was leaving on the cart. Lincoln Riley he wanted to make sure everyone understood this, that everything is fine. In fact, that this has been the most sustained practices that Damani's had since he's been here, end quote. And that he's been staying on the field. So we'll see if he's out there on Thursday. But again, nothing to be concerned about. Another injury update that we can bring you up to speed with, because Lincoln Riley mentioned his name and it was brought up. Carson Tabaracci last year had back surgery. That was last year. This year, he's going to be a full-time tight end. Going forward, that's his role. He's athletic enough to do it. And, we've heard some early, flashes that he's looked good. And he's going to have an opportunity to play this year. So we'll see. Hey, Amon-Ra St. Brown was out there hanging out, watching some of the new guys. He's got to be excited about the wide receivers out there. And I'm sure he wasn't looking in a mirror when he saw Makai Lemon. Makai is often compared to Amon-Ra, not just in size and stature, but the way he plays the game. And that should really excite USC fans, that they could have another Amon-Ra St. Brown in their wide receiver core. Speaking of modern-day Trojans, Rajon Davis's little brother, Ramir, was out there watching Big Brother go through linebacker drills with his position coach, Brian Odom, and Ryan Pelluer, Coach Pelluer. You know who else was out there watching practice today? On Tuesday? Excuse me. Norm Chow, coaching offensive guru legend, quarterback guru, offensive coordinator, former Trojan coordinator. If there's one thing Norm Chow knows how to do, is how to be creative with his play calling, how to set games up, how to set the opponent up. So, he might give you one play in the first half, and you'll see it in the second half, but it'll be completely different. I'm sure Lincoln Riley bent Norm Chow's ear for a few talking offense. I told you last week on Locked on USC that Cooper Lovelace character, he mugged it up for the camera. He got a chance to talk to the media on Tuesday. I had mentioned that he's practicing at 4 of the 5 spots on the offensive line. So when people say that he's flexible, they mean it. I mean, the guy is Gumby jointed. And by Gumby jointed, I mean he can do the splits 180 degrees. Yeah. It hurts to watch him. He looks like a gymnast when he does it. And if you're a guy and you see him doing it, you know what I mean by it hurts to watch. Lincoln Riley, he was asked after practice if there was a single position group that if he could single out that he'd like to see more from. Well, he kind of pursed his lips and little dramatic pause for about 5 to 10 seconds and then quote, hard to single one out. It's more of, and then this is me reading the body language. It was kind of more of how he didn't say anything at the halfway point of spring camp. He continued, quote, there's a lot to unfold. There's going to be so many more position battles and ebbs and flows with this group between now and fall. And then obviously we add the rest of the high school signees. And I'm emphasizing this last point here. And probably a couple of more transfers when it's all said and done also, end quote. Look, Lincoln keeps emphasizing that couple of more transfers when it's all said and done also. I alluded to it earlier. I didn't mention any names. I have a hunch the offensive line room is a group that he'd like to see more from. I think they're going to be scrimmaging Saturday as well as, the following Saturday, you're going to have the spring huddle. I think that group, the offensive line group, it needs to be closer to settled than unsettled coming out of spring camp. So again, let's see how Lincoln Riley's answers change from today, Locked on USC, if you're watching this episode on Wednesday, April 5th, and how it changes between now and April 15th when the spring game takes place at the LA Coliseum at 12 noon. It's free. Get out there. It's going to be your opportunity. Otherwise, if you're not out there, you better hope you have the Pac-12 network. They're airing it. All right, that's it. That's another episode of Locked on USC in the books. I want to thank you for making Locked on USC your first listen today. For your second listen, check out our brand new podcast, Locked on College Basketball. Experts Isaac Shade and Andy Patton, they're going to bring you everything you need to know on and off the court. Plus, you're going to hear from big-name experts, coaches, and players throughout the basketball landscape. Locked on College Basketball, available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Real quick note, as a reminder, USC has another player in the transfer portal from the basketball team. Isaac Diagu has jumped into the transfer portal, the 7-footer. He joined the team earlier this year. Apparently, he's not in the plans. Anyways, that's it for this episode of Locked On USC. I'll be back for another episode. We come at you 5 times a week. Head on over to weareusc.com. Get on that subscription special. A lot of recruiting information. So until then, you know what to do.